Ann, and this is officially my very first YouTube video. I'm a little nervous, a little bit excited, but I'm going to start off by introducing myself and telling my story from the very beginning. Some of you have been here from the very beginning, some of you came in the middle, and some of you are brand new. So we're just going to start from the very, very beginning when I got my very first DSLR.
You are the one I love, yeah, you are the one I love.
So a little over 8 years ago, I told my husband-to-be that I wanted to start a photography business when we could afford it. I wanted to buy a nice camera. I'd always taken my dad's DSLR around in high school, and one day I wanted to be able to afford a camera so I could take pictures and maybe dabble in photography. At the time, I was a student at Utah State University. I had no idea that I would start this business and be so successful, and I just wanted to do it for fun, for my friends, kind of do it on the side for a little bit extra money, a little job through college. So I told my husband-to-be that I wanted a camera, and that Valentine's Day, I went into his room, and where his Xbox once was my first DSLR. So he sold his Xbox, which he loves his Xbox. He sold his Xbox and bought me my first DSLR camera, which was a Nikon D3100 with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens, f4.5 to 5.6. And that's what started the dream of Kylee Ann Photography. I started taking pictures of all my family and friends, and I started going home to my hometown, Washington, and doing like mini session weekends where I would just do one after another of all these people that trusted me and loved me, even if they got crappy pictures back. And it just kind of sparked this love for photography, love for business, love for marketing, love for being with people, and it's just grown from there. So don't feel bad for my husband. I married him a month after he got me the DSLR, and then a couple months later, I bought back his Xbox with my first wedding money. So he got his Xbox, I got my camera, and it's kind of our little gift of love story. And he really has been the biggest support of Kylee Ann Studios from the very beginning. Every time he found out like I was shooting on something that was bad, like he found out that the Nikon D3100 wasn't a great camera to shoot a wedding on, and the 18 to 55 millimeter lens was not that sharp. And when I would tell him these things and be like, oh, I found out I probably shouldn't be shooting weddings with this camera, he would go and he would save up and help me buy my next upgrade. And honestly, I'm really frugal and I save a lot of money, and if it wasn't for him and saying, you need this and you need it now because you're going to get better clients now that can pay, that can help you charge more and grow this business. But if you wait 3 years for somebody to come along and pay enough money for you to buy this lens, you're going to lose out on 3 years of clients. And he really pushed me every single upgrade and milestone to just get better and better and upgrade my equipment and be a professional and use the right software. And he researched a lot with me in the beginning, which was really fun. So that's where it started. I didn't have kids. I was still in college. I worked nights and weekends just taking pictures of random things. Let's see, I started business in 2011, and then I had my son at the end of 2012. And in 2013, I decided I either need to give this up and be a mom and take pictures of my kids and take pictures of my family and friends for fun and have a hobby and not charge people and just do it for fun, or I need to make this a business, because the time away from my family and my kids and this new precious baby boy was not worth $35. It was not worth all the time it took to edit, all the time it took to communicate. And so I decided at that point that I was going to dive in with both feet. I was going to choose what I was going to specialize in. I was going to choose this editing style and stick to it. I was going to choose just a pricing structure and stick to it, and a schedule and stick to it, and a marketing plan and stick to it. And it sounds simple, but it was really hard to commit to doing it as a business and to jump in with both feet and say like, okay, I charge this, and my family, who's been my family for the last 20 years, they have to stick to this pricing too, or they have to value it too. And that's a hard step to take when you've built this business with family and friends, and then you have to be a professional, and you've gotten to a point where you are a professional and your pictures look professional, but you're still charging that family and friend hobby price. So it was a hard transition, but I started investing in myself and in education and making sure I had all the professional equipment I needed to be charging for weddings. I had contracts, I was legal, all this stuff from the beginning, but I still wasn't treating it like a business where I work these days and this is the service I provide. I don't provide what you want me to provide. So the struggle I was running into is people would come to me and say, I want this vintage edit on these photos, and then if you could do this edit on these photos, and also could you like make all of this black and white and then just the flowers yellow and the eyes and just stuff like that. And I had to decide, like, okay, this is the service I provide. Bright, creamy edits, a great turnaround time, a fun experience. I feel like every single time I go on a shoot, it's fun. People don't think it's fun. It's going to be fun, but then they leave saying, wow, that wasn't so bad. That was actually pretty fun. So that is what I wanted to specialize in. So I started specializing in that. I started doing weddings and families. I stopped doing like dog portraits and events and seniors and all these things that I just knew I wasn't as good at. And it exploded. I started blogging 3 to 5 times a week. Even when I didn't have content, I would create content. I started doing style shoots. I started going to conferences and workshops and mentoring. And in 2014, I was full-time. I shot about 25 weddings that year, and then I have just grown every year since then. So 2014, I was full-time. I was shooting for strangers. It was amazing. I had my backup gear that was professional. I had my regular gear that was professional. I had all these lenses, and things had really started to finally explode. In 2015, again, crazy year, but this time I had 2 kids. I had a baby and now a 2-year-old, and things got crazy. And I was still shooting 25 weddings. In the month of August that year, no, it was the year before. In the month of August in 2014, I had shot 20 sessions, and I think like 9 of them were weddings, or 9 of them were out of state, or something crazy like that, and I was still using Photoshop. So I had to really learn how to create systems and workflows and stuff that didn't take over my life. Finally got that down as far as editing in 2015, where I could. So at this point, I was still returning sessions and weddings within a week. So I was kind of working a lot to do that. In 2015, I had developed my 1-hour workflow, and I was turning around sessions in like an hour, weddings in a day, and just really nailed down what was important to me and what systems would help me get there. And so then the business, so I had the marketing and I had the photography, and then I needed to catch up with the systems and the back end of my business. So back up in 2014, I started teaching at Bridgeland Applied Technical College, Intro to Photography. And then in 2015, I started teaching my own workshops. I love teaching at Bridgeland Applied Technical College, but it was a little bit harder because I was teaching really basic things like manual, how to shoot, like a fast shutter speed, a slow shutter speed, why are each important, all these really basic things that everyone should learn for sure. But I decided that I love to teach marketing, I love to teach posing, I love to teach how to interact with your clients, communication, customer service. These are the things that I'm known for, that I like to teach. So I started teaching workshops in 2015, and at one of the workshops, I met the amazing Rachel Hudson. She came to my second photography workshop. She actually dropped off her check. The PayPal link wasn't working, so she dropped off her check with a Snickers bar and a note that said, like, I admire you and how hard it is to run a business with 2 kids and and left this really sweet impression from the very beginning. So then she shows up at my workshop. She had already bought my preset, my 1-hour workflow, everything I had sold up to this point. She was at my workshop, and she was so quiet, but one of those quiet people that just are like so observant and so helpful the entire time. Like, she was really quiet, but she was there to help me set up. She was there to help me take down, and she asked questions, but she wasn't like, Kylee, I've been following you for 5 years. Like, I knew nothing really about her, but I could tell she was like watching and serving and helpful. So she stayed till the very end. She was the only person who stayed till the end. She helped me load my car after, and she helped me just pack up everything. And anyways, so that was like the first time I met Rachel. And then about 2 weeks later, I posted that I was hiring. And at that time, I was actually hiring someone as like an office manager type position to help me turn my blog posts into some ebooks that I was working on. And so I ended up hiring my brother. After I posted, I got about 50 emails and I was like, Austin, will you help me with this project? I don't want to go through these emails. But then I started going through the emails and I got an email from Rachel Hudson and it said, hey Kylee, I've been following you for 5 years. I just came to your workshop. I really admire you, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a boyfriend or husband or a job. I'm yours. I will change your kids' diapers. I will clean your house. I will help with the photography stuff. I'll second shoot. I will do anything and everything you need. And I was like, hired. I literally replied within 30 seconds. I haven't even opened the rest of these 50 messages. And I said, you're hired. I don't know what you're going to do yet or when you're going to start because I already hired my brother, but I want you and I need you. And that's how Rachel and I's friendship really began. So meanwhile, so a couple months went by and Rachel had appendicitis and she went to Washington, D.C. for spring break and a couple of things like that happened. And I had her mail some of my packages and package up some albums and take photos of some things. But she didn't really do a lot of photography stuff for a long time and I feel so bad. So she has her Bachelor in Fine Arts in Photography. She had come to my workshop and she had kind of started her business because she was graduating that May. That summer, after she graduated, she helped me pack up my house and move. She helped me organize my desk drawers and she sat on the floor next to my desk watching my babies and let me just talk to her about everything and just tell her about my sessions or tell her about what I was working on. And she just listened. All the time she listened so good. She still does. And it was over that 6 months that I just learned that I could trust her and rely on her and that she is the most service-oriented human being that you will ever meet in your entire life. Her whole purpose in life is to serve her family and friends and her clients now. And that's what makes her an amazing photographer. She is an amazing photographer. Her photography skills are amazing, but what makes her amazing is the way she serves people and loves people, and it's so genuine. Whew. Need some water after that. And what happened next is I started doing the Kylee Ann sleepovers. So I started doing the Kylee Ann sleepovers because I didn't like how people came to my workshop and I would teach them all day and then they would leave and I didn't get to really bond with anyone. They kind of felt like I was their teacher and we didn't really connect on like a personal level. And for me, connection is really important. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm just there above them or I'm their mentor or I'm like too cool or too good or too successful to be friends with someone who's beginning. I never ever wanted that, and I felt like with my 2 workshops, that's how it felt. I never got to know them, and for me, everybody's my friend, whether you started yesterday or you've been a photographer for 18 years. I don't care about the level of photography. I'm a very inclusive person, and I felt like workshops didn't give me the chance to show them that I want to be their peer, not their mentor. So, I want to be their mentor and their peer. So I started doing the Kylee Ann sleepover, which has been so fun. I still do sleepovers. So the first sleepover, Rachel started helping me with, and I think it was the first one. Yeah, so the first one was in September 2015. Rachel had second shot 2 weddings for me. She had kind of dove into her photography business. She was using my presets. I was helping her with it, and her photography started to look very similar to mine. Obviously, she was more like beginning, but like as far as style and everything, it was kind of morphing together. So she came and helped me with my workshop, and at the workshop, I remember I gave her a 70-200 lens as like a thank you gift, and everyone there at the sleepover was like, "What? Oh my gosh, how do I work for you?" And they were freaking out, and then they said, "Okay, you're giving her lenses, her photography looks like yours, she's using your presets, she works for you all the time. Why, would you ever consider having her as a photographer on your team?" And I was like, You know, I went to a class at WPPI in 2013 about associate photographers. I never had the intention of doing it. I didn't know what it was. I just went with a friend. And I thought, and I said, you know what, this might work because I'm so booked. I'm turning people away. I'm referring people to her. She is an amazing photographer. She has a Bachelor in Fine Arts in Photography, but she doesn't know how to market herself, how to price herself, how to send invoice and all that stuff she's learning because she just learned photography for 4 years and now she has 4 more years to learn business. So a week later, her pricing guide was up on our website as my first associate photographer. We're gonna break this up into 2 parts. That one got a little bit long-winded, so we're gonna come back in 2 days and share with you how we grew our team, what happened next, how many weddings Rachel shoots, who we hired next, how they were hired, the story of how Kylee Ann Studios went from shooting on a Nikon D3100 to a full-blown amazing photography team. So if you liked this and you want to hear more of our story, leave comments below. But we also want to hear what kind of photography tips you want to know, some education, maybe for what to wear for family pictures, how to take better pictures on your phone, and all sorts of things like that. So leave a comment below, and we'll be back in 2 days to finish.